Goodbye.
Welcome to today's video. Today, my plan is to button up some more things on the Miata and get things ready for when the new turbo arrives. I've got still a lot of wiring to polish up for sensors and plugs. I'm actually in the process now of crimping on these little ends here for the plug with this nice tool that Marcus got for me from HP to borrow. And then run all the wires in through the firewall to the ECU. I then need to put a whole bunch of pins on for this plug that goes into the Mega Square and get everything essentially working for that. I'm not sure if I showed this already, but we've already got the sensor down here for the ethanol content. This is the position of where the boost solenoid's going. And yeah, I'm working on the plug now for the IAT sensor and where that's going to get installed. But also at the end of this video, I'm probably going to take the car for a little drive and then I'm going to remove the entire hot side because we need to get some fab work done and things like that for when the new turbo arrives. And the biggest thing is I've been trying to figure out when was the right time to take this all off and give to Tommy to then finish up in reinforcing in the corner there that piece we cut out and painting it and everything all over again. And it seems like my turbo probably won't be arriving till the end of next week just with all the delays and stuff with the pandemic. So I figured I'm going to take this all off so that it's ready for Tommy to do his work on Monday morning, and then by the time that's all finished, I'll then have the car back for us to then, you know, put the new turbo on and fab everything up. These little connectors can be pretty tricky sometimes, and you need to make sure that you have the right tool, and this is it here. It kind of like mushrooms out the little, I guess, little flares of the pin, and you just got to be really careful when you do this not to over squeeze it or over tighten it. I actually really enjoy these. It's so, what's the word? Like, satisfying. That's the word I want to use. It's really satisfying when I get to do this kind of stuff. Maybe I just really like electronics or something. I don't know. I've always worked in the industry doing this kind of stuff though, so it's just something I enjoy because it also means that you're making things proper. And then you move to the next size up for the piece that holds the cable and lightly squeeze that. And then you should end up with 2 crimps that look just like this. Nice and ready to go into the plug. And sliding these bad boys in, and they lock in place. These little dish connectors are amazing. I use them on my Skyline in Japan too. And there we go, all clicked in, ready to roll. You can kind of see the pins here, and then we need to slide this thing in, which then locks the pins in place so they then can't move. And there we go, ready for the IAT sensor now. You watching Randy right now?
Of course, dude.
Thought I could hear his voice before. Shout out to this guy.
Yes, sir.
What is that, the new NSX they got?
Yeah, I'm watching it on detail.
Detail?
Yeah.
Detailer watching it. Isn't that like the most painful thing for you?
I mean, not really. I mean, he knows what he's doing, it seems like.
There he is.
I mean,
you know the videos make him look taller than he actually is.
Yeah, I've seen the comparison to.
Man, he's like under my nipple.
Yeah, him to Adam LZ too. Like he's tiny.
Oh, Adam LZ's like my height, so.
Yeah, so. Funny.
I love Randy. Such a rad dude. All right, back to the car. So I've got my wires fed through the firewall now. I went through the main kind of, I guess, section here in the firewall where the wiring loom comes through, just down in this corner here. And they're all here. We've also got the wire here that I need to extend and bring in under the carpet to the Mega Square. That's for the analog output of the wideband sensor, so that the ECU will actually get a wideband signal from the gauge. And this is the kind of plug that you have to use. It's like an old serial plug. I don't know if any of you guys are probably that watch are old enough to know this, but I guess this type of serial plug is what the very old first joysticks used to be like for like your old 386 computers. Anyone in the comment section who knows what a 386 is or a 586, holler at me there. That was one of my first computers, was a 386 actually. Anyways, that aside, these are the pins that then go into that, and you, I guess, just connect your sensors and other things to the end of this. It's interesting. I've never had an ECU that uses this kind of thing. I think it's kind of weird, but if it works, and I can't really complain. So I'm going to look up now where I need to put all of this stuff, and then the plug then just plugs into this plug right here on the ECU, and then that gives it all those extra signal feeds. I would prefer to just, you know, have another plug that plugs into these ports here, but I guess not. Anyways, I'm gonna get started on that. That's gonna take me a while. We may actually continue this into tomorrow because it's late and I wanna go home and go to bed early so I can get up early tomorrow and finish this. And this type of content's very repetitive, and it's a lot of like unentertaining things, and trying to make a full video out of it is obviously like not what I want to do. So I'm trying to smash out as much as I can and then be able to fit in other content so it's not just like me sitting down wiring the whole time. Also, now that we're talking, why don't you guys hit that subscribe button? I know a lot of you guys watch the channel and aren't actually subscribed, so I'd super appreciate it if you could hit that button and the bell. The way subscriptions work on YouTube has changed a lot now. Not only do you have to subscribe to a channel, but you also need to hit that bell to get notifications to know when I actually upload videos, so you get to see it. So I'd really appreciate it if you could do that for me. But for now, let's get back into this wiring mess. It is now the next day, and Florida weather today is so chilly and cool. I love it because I get to wear my sweatshirt. And I don't know, it just feels good not walking outside and dying and shriveling up because it's so hot. Anyways, that aside, yesterday I did finish with the auxiliary input cable, so this is all wired up and ready to go. I'm not going to be installing it or plugging it into the ECU yet though, until we tidy everything up and get it all under the carpet and whatnot. And we obviously have to still wait for when we weld in the little bung for the IAT sensor. I have had a lot of people message me and say to put it in the end tank of the intercooler, but everyone I have ever spoken to and every like tuner that I've worked with, you're supposed to have it as close as you can to the throttle body, not after the throttle body in the intake manifold, but right here before the throttle body, so that it can actually measure the correct temperature of the air going into the engine. If you do a bit of research online, it's written everywhere. If you put it down in the end tank, you're kind of getting false results as to what the air temperature is going into the engine. Heat soak really isn't an issue with IAT sensors, even if the bung and the actual like brass fitting around the sensor itself is heat soaked. It doesn't actually affect the little sensor down in this section here, okay? This part can get heat soaked as much as it wants, but this will still read true air temp levels because it's separate from all of that part. You know what I'm trying to say. So you should always install your IAT sensors directly in front of the throttle body here, as close as you can. So that's why we're gonna be putting it around here, but you know, hiding it underneath a bit there. So that's why we're doing that. So yeah, we can't install that until we weld that in, and obviously my boost solenoid, there's no point in really plugging in all these extra sensors until we have the new hot side. Now, that aside, I'm gonna actually start pulling this hot side off, plus everything finally arrived for my oil cooler kit. We got the Yoshimura cooler here, the oil filter relocation blocks, and then a bunch of lines and fittings from Vibrant over there that we're going to be using to install in the car. But that's probably going to happen next video because I got so much to get done right now. My main focus today is to probably pull the entire hot side off so we can get this thing to Tommy's shop first thing tomorrow, get that piece welded in there to reinforce everything we cut out, and then repaint it all. There's a few places where we need to touch up as well, the paint in the engine bay, just because like with all the fitting issues and stuff like that, we scuffed and scratched some stuff up. Like you can see here, there's a little nick there and stuff like that from the turbo falling or the downpipe and stuff like that. So gonna get all that fixed up. But for now, let's get into some work and stop talking. I guess we're starting with this. Just got the turbo off, as you guys would have seen, and I wanted to do a little science experiment to just try to prove everyone in the comment section that isn't paying attention to my videos. You keep saying that my turbo drain is not sufficient enough. You keep saying I installed it too low in the oil pan, which makes absolutely no sense. This is the top and the front of the oil pan. This can be as low as it wants here because this all flows down into this bottom section here. No oil actually ever sits at this part of the oil pan. It's always flowing down into this part, okay? So having this here is totally okay. This is fine too. It's a straight shot in. And we're gonna put the high pressure oil line that goes into the top of the turbo without the restrictor that's normally on there into the drain, and this is not gonna overflow. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna start it up with the turbo off the manifold just to prove my point for you guys, all right? So let's let this down nice and slowly so that everything's level. Hopefully that doesn't fly out of the tube. I think we'll be fine. Just make sure there's no tools on the engine. I think we are okay. Let's start this up and put this to rest, okay? This is gonna be so loud. All right, she's running. And look at that. Oil pressure line in the drain. No leaks, no back pressure. It's flowing fine. Mind you though, since we got this here, let's have a bit of fun, eh? Sounds good. Yeah. So anyways, there you guys go. It's draining totally fine. I mean, dare I say, do I dare do this? Whoa, we sprayed oil everywhere. That was dangerous. Now I gotta clean that up. So I hope that proves the drain is totally fine and substantial for the turbo. It's literally an internal issue in that turbo. What we just did was kind of a little bit dangerous and silly, and now I gotta clean a bunch of oil up. So it's all good because we're pulling that whole hot side and exhaust manifold off anyways. But I wanted to just show you guys, because a lot of people in the comments either just weren't paying attention or just didn't understand that that's actually not the issue whatsoever. The turbo internally has a fault. It wasn't machined correctly or assembled correctly. We can go through and disassemble that and try to have a look at it later on. But for now, I just wanted to show you guys that while everything was kind of still on here to the point where I could do it. And now we're gonna brake clean everything that I just got covered in oil. Good job, Sam. There we go. She's out, boys. And for anyone wondering who wants to get this same kit as me, what to look out for to know whether or not you have an incorrectly manufactured manifold, it's this. Look for this awkward looking runner like this. See how it just doesn't look right, how that's like that? This is the issue. This comes out way too far from the manifold that hits the downpipe that comes with the kit and prevents it from fitting. This is supposed to be tucked way more in. If you look at the pictures on the website when you buy the kit and you look at the pictures that they provide of it, this is not here. It's tucked further into the manifold here. So this piece here is way too long. It should be way shorter, and this was just all angled and welded incorrectly and should have been tucked way closer in. So that's the problem with the manifold and why it doesn't fit, because this just sticks out there so much that you can't get your downpipe down there. You can see how much I've scratched off the ceramic coating just trying to get everything to fit. Well, we'll get that redone when we get the new hot side, because we got to cut this flange off. So I've now finished doing everything that I need to so that Tommy can get in there and weld in a new piece and box it all in so it's strong, and then obviously repaint all of that section there. You can see that kind of section there that needs to be painted. So that'll be happening tomorrow morning. Otherwise though, this turbo, well, we're going to disassemble it in a couple days, but just for the sheer fact of making a point. Goodbye. And here is where I'm going to end today's video, but before we wrap things up, I want to explain my thought process and my plan initially with this whole turbo kit that I got. By the way, we're never mentioning the company name ever again in my videos for obvious reasons, but that aside, I was never ever planning to give away the car or leave the car where it's at with that cheap China turbo. I was always planning to replace it with the one that's arriving hopefully next week. Now the reason why I ended up, bolting on that turbo and things like that was just because with the pandemic and how it's affected companies here in the US, a lot of places aren't even open for the full 5 days a week, business days that they normally would be, and they're banked up, like trying to get orders and stuff shipped out. So where we are right now is we're still waiting for the turbo to arrive. Now when it arrives, it'll all make sense and you'll be like, man, the irony of this is hilarious. But I got the I bolted that turbo on because I wanted to get some numbers to further prove why you don't mess around with China turbos. And it's just funny because the turbo that was sent to me was absolute junk and faulty from the get-go, wasn't machined correctly internally, won't drain whatsoever, oil seals are junk. Like it's a perfect example of what I was trying to prove. But we did get some numbers on the dyno, so we'll be able to show the differences back to back. The main reason why I got this turbo kit was just for the kit factor. Didn't want the turbo, didn't care for the turbo, but I got it because I was like, this will be interesting content to compare the two, right? But yeah, anyways, I got the kit because I wanted the manifold, I wanted the intercooler piping, the intercooler, and all that other stuff that makes it a kit, so that then I could then modify it to suit the new turbo that was coming. And obviously that also backfired massively as well. So yeah, you guys have seen in my videos, but I just wanted to explain all that too. Also, on the note of the giveaway and the car, we haven't actually picked a winner yet because of the pandemic and things like that. Once again, a lot of companies aren't open for normal business days. I have to wait a little bit longer before we find out who the winner is, but keep an eye on it. Hopefully next week, I'll be making an announcement on pretty much all of my social media, so keep an eye out for that. I'm really excited. It looks like I am going to be able to call them and let them know. So it's gonna be really, really cool. Put that in the vlog and get their initial reaction and all this other stuff. It's gonna be sick. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. A lot of talking probably, and a lot of random content that's a little bit repetitive. We've taken that turbo off so many times now, and finally it's not going back on the car. So I'm happy about that. And smash the like button, write us a comment. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe, hit the bell, and I will see you all in tomorrow's video. Peace out. Ciao, Miata.